Wait to see you. It's magic.
Thank you, guys.
I love that shirt, by the way. I love that shirt. Esa mera, mira. Look at that. Look at it.
You got it, chingon.
There you go, brother. I gotta get me one of them. That's
You
one
have
of
no
them.
idea how many times I've had to look in the mirror and stare at me and try to get inside my head and tell myself, no, you're a chingon. I get emotional sometimes, and it's good. It's good to let those emotions out. And
Absolutely, my brother. The man we're about to talk to has been on Domingo Live long before the existence of the Domingo Live program. As a matter of fact, he's one of the few who can say that he shook the hand and performed on the show that was named after the very man who is honored every Sunday on Domingo Live, and that is, of course, Domingo Peña. With me right now, I'm honored to have an incredible performer and entertainer, and dare I say a dear friend, Mr. Little Joe Hernandez. Welcome to Domingo Live, brother. Good to have you.
well, thank you very much. It's always fun to have chats with you guys.
It's good to have you, and we speak with you today because of this incredible honor that you have just received from the National Endowment for the Arts, the National Heritage Fellowship. Man, what a big honor. You've received so many of them, but this one right here is extremely special. Tell me about it.
This is really a great way for me to, I guess, say, put the cherry on top. Never expected it. As a matter of fact, honestly, I never, as a kid, when I started with my music career, I never expected awards, and I never did music for awards. But I've been so blessed, to have received awards from so many different organizations for so many different causes. I mean, literally hundreds. Of course, I've been on the road for 62 years. So that's a long time to be traveling around and, just accumulating awards. I got awards from Europe, from Japan, from Mexico, from all over the United States. But as I said, I never played music for awards. However, I am totally grateful and appreciative. But this last award is, like I said, really a cherry on top of the cake, because who knows if, it's the top award that the nation can award you. So I am really, really happy about it, and gracias a Dios y a toda la gente that made it possible.
Well, you are in very good company. You are one of 9 who are receiving this National Heritage Fellowship. And Joe, you and I have spoken throughout the years so many times, talking about what made not only Little Joe, but Little Joe y la Familia, Little Joe and the Latineers, different from all of the multitude of other groups that oftentimes you shared stages with. What do you attribute your longevity to?
Happiness. Well, I'm blessed with good genes, I believe, from my dad and mom. I have tried to stay healthy through the years. It's something to do something about the body. And early on, I think also as a kid, the manual work that I did very early in my age, I think that's all paying off now. The cotton picking and chopping cotton, you walk 10 hours out in the field, and you do that over the years. Although, at 15, that was probably when my last year of doing the field work. But then the construction, and I'm an active person. I like to stay active, and I really enjoyed jogging or running. And as a kid, I loved running, and I didn't do it for a health reason, or I just got that great feeling of running out in the fields and stuff. I think all of that has paid off, in my older age. And then, of course, the diet. I've been a vegetarian 34 years this Quaresma. Uh, the only meat I do eat is fish, and I haven't drank coffee since I quit eating meat, and I haven't drank beer since 1982. I think I think all of that contributes to good health.
Good health, of course, is a wonderful thing and something that we should all look forward to having on a day-to-day basis. But let me ask you this one final question, because I know you've got lots of interviews today. Let's talk about what you hope the younger Tejano artists of today, those starting out, what you hope they learn from your example and what you've done throughout the years.
Well, for any young person, whatever it is that they want to do in life, I think if you recognize and understand and believe that we all have a God-given gift, you know, and we all have a purpose in life. And I think the sooner you realize that and can find that purpose and set your goals. But I think it all begins with being kind, work hard, and try to be fair. I think those things are of such great importance because that's part of our life, and I try to be kind and I try to abide by those rules. And you find that people gravitate towards you, no nos cuesta nada to be kind to one another. And in the music world, I think that's very important because we have to deal with lots of things that, lots of instances where we have to share a space, we have to share a stage, we have to share a spotlight, we have to, there's a lot of sharing if you're willing. And I think those three things are very important for anyone. Now, if you're going to do music, I'm really overrated. I'm not the talent that people credit me with, but I'm very blessed. I think what happened early in my life, my music career, was that because of necessity, I made it a business. And I've never worked for any other band uh, other than when I started at the Ladners. My cousin put that band together, David Coronado and the Ladners. But since 1959, when he left the group, he was so much more advanced than the rest of us kids were. It became Little Joe and the Ladners. And I've never, as I said, I've never worked for any other band other than my own. And all those
And
things that I mentioned, about sharing and caring, being kind and working hard and, trying to be fair, that plays a big role in everyone's life, but it certainly helps in the music business.
And while it sounds simple, you make it sound so simple, it is certainly a good secret to have and a good ethic to have in your heart that can be positive for anyone wanting to achieve in any field. So we congratulate you again, Joe, for what you've done, what you've accomplished, and this latest accolade that you can add to your, I'm sure, room full of awards that you've received throughout your career as not only a talented musician, but a wonderful, wonderful person in this life. Thank you, Joe.
Well, everybody that ever came in contact with me, or I owe everybody so much. I owe everybody everything. And Rudy, you and I go back so many years. And I remember when you were in California and I would come on touring through California, we would sit down, we'd do interviews, and it was always a pleasant time for me, a pleasure to meet and talk with you. And it is today as well. Um, I guess what this award means also, it just kind of brings more awards to the front. I'm doing a fundraising for the students, teachers and students here in my hometown in Temple, which I seldom get to play here. I think the last time I played here, you were here, and for the dedication of the street. So that's on March the 10th, and I'm doing a TV interview, and I get today just a while ago, and I get a call. Um, they want me in Washington D.C. on the 9th for an award. They would need to present me an award in Washington D.C. That's on the 9th. I have to be here on the 10th, and the flight wouldn't get me back till Austin until 11. And there's no way that I'm trusting the airlines to get me back on time or even in the same day. So I feel awfully bad about having to pass on not being there in DC to receive the award for the award presentation. But you can't do everything in life, but how about doing everything we can do? So if you can keep that in mind, you can't do it all, but do all you can. And I think we can get by and enjoy the time we do have in this beautiful
Those
planet.
are words to live by little Joe. Thank you so much. Te agradecemos, hermano. Te adoramos, te deseamos lo mejor y que Dios siempre esté contigo. Nos ha dado mucha vida.
Gracias, Dios te cuide a ti y a tu familia. And we need to get together sometimes and just sit down and just talk.
I will probably see you very, very soon. God bless you, brother, and congratulations
Gracias.
again.
Thank you.